Hi, my name is Michal Grela, and I'd like to welcome you very warmly to yet another episode of IT Leadership Insights by Future Processing. My guest today is Robin Zondag, and we're going to talk about managing AI projects. AI as a technology is disrupting industry after industry, and managing project management itself is a hard task enough, but AI makes it even more, way more complicated. But before we dig deep into the topic, Robin, would you be so kind and tell a few words about yourself, please?
Yeah, no problem, Michael. Thanks for having me in your podcast, video cast. Good
Thank
to
you
be
for,
here.
for
So my name
joining me.
is yeah, good to be here. So my name is Robin Zondag, if you pronounce it the Dutch way. I'm from
All right.
Holland. Robin is what I do internationally. I've been working in IT and IT industry for the last 20 years. Spending most of my times at Atos in corporate, being responsible for digital transformation, AI and analytics, and lastly, being responsible for the Google Cloud AI business globally that Atos is doing. Since October 1st, I've changed course and I'm a corporate tiger turned entrepreneur. So I'm now
Flew
running.
out of the nest.
Yeah, it's really good. I've learned enough after 20 years, I hope, and started my own company, Digital Sunday, focusing on doing digital business with AI technology based on the Google Cloud stack.
Thank you, thank you. Well, congrats on this brave move and becoming entrepreneur yourself. So, as you've said, you have plenty of experience within project management and AI as a technology. So, I'm just curious to find out what's your point of view. Why would somebody bother to do AI in the first place?
Yeah, I think AI is a fantastic new technology that's been around for a little while, but it's now really being opening up to any organization, and it helps to make decisions better. So sometimes we don't even realize, but there's a lot of small decisions everybody's taking. And AI offers the opportunity sometimes. You have to think about where it's useful to do this decision making automatically based on much more data that humans can't oversee, and leading to all sorts of new understanding, like computers understanding voice, computers understanding video, computers understanding images, facial recognition. So really opening up new ways of working, better ways of working, which will service customers better and give the ability to companies to reduce costs. So that is, it's really it's also the difficulty, I think, with AI, as we can apply it to so many different cases that we might not
Mm-hmm.
even know how to really use it. So it's really a big technology change that allows people that know how to apply it to be more competitive than organizations that do not apply it.
I'm just also curious to sort of understand why now? I mean, like if you've had these conversations on AI 5 or 10 years ago, everybody would be like, yeah, well maybe later. Whereas now it's the major topic of conferences, AI here, AI there, AI this, AI that. What's changed? Why now?
Yeah, so AI has an interesting history of being hyped up
Yeah, definitely.
and people fearing that computers will take over, be much smarter than
Yeah.
humans. And I think first time probably in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s again. And then people got really disappointed on how smart computers really were. I think the last time was the early 90s when people thought, okay, now with the internet and all the data's coming available, AI will take over. And then, well, it didn't.
Yeah.
Um, the
Not
big
yet.
not yet at that time. The big breakthrough, and I think what's driving AI as a force right now is deep learning technology that allow to continue to learn if you feed more data to models and make much more complex AI models that are closer to reality. So it was technology invented somewhere around 2006
Hmm.
with Hinton and his team and many others contributing. And that allowed, so all of a sudden, where in 2012, when it was about recognizing what's on a picture, I think computers were failing 30% of the times, so performing way worse than any human would.
Hmm.
A human error rate, if you show a picture and ask what's on the picture, is around 5%. And with the deep learning technology, we saw that in 3 4 years, so 2016, computers were actually more precise
Hmm.
and more often right in recognizing what's on a picture than humans are now at an error rate at like 3% for computers. Whereas humans still, well, we haven't really got the update, so we're still at 5% wrong, collectively. And I think that is so that deep learning really got a breakthrough also in terms of translation, in terms of speech, in terms of voice. Now computers are getting on par, not with their global understanding of the world. That's where humans beat computers anywhere, but on
Yeah.
particular areas, particular focus areas, the computers can really help humans to perform better.
So you've said there's hype, and I recall once we've had this conversation when you said when there's hype, there's also always disappointment. And I'm curious, I'm just thinking out loud whether because there are some technologies definitely that people were waiting for them to get there, and they've never got there. And I'm wondering if AI is just not another overhyped thing.
It's definitely in a hype phase. So
Yeah.
which means that anything that looks like data and some intelligence get labeled AI, which also means that people say, okay, I've got this business problem and I apply AI and now the business problem is solved. Uh,
Magic wand.
it's a like magic dust and all your problems are gone. That's of course not true.
Yeah.
And we have to admit a little bit from our industry, it's being fed. So there's a lot of over promising
Hmm.
and it's really about finding the true value in the hype that will get us there. But because of the over-promising, people will apply AI and still have some problems. And they think, oh my God, they told me this would solve all my problems, and yet I still have problems. So I'm disappointed. I expected it to go faster and so on. And with AI, as it requires, depending a bit on where you apply it, but it requires a lot of data, which
Hmm.
is a lot of organizations have a lot of data, but it's not usually not easily accessible.
Yeah.
So it's a great effort to get that data, feed it to the machines. And if the business case and if you can't scale up quickly enough, then you're spending money on getting AI to work, which is, let's say, more than you would do in an ultimately perfect world for AI driven companies. And that's not available in most organizations. On the other hand, there are clearly a complete set of and a growing set of areas and business cases where AI can really contribute.
All right. So let's move to that one. Uh, what's the right fit for AI then? Where it works?
Yes, so it's all a matter. I think it's a balancing act between effort and feasibility, uh,
Hmm.
and the business value, and how easy you can obtain that business value. So for any organization that is having B2C conversations, a chatbot, which is basically driven by AI technology, you don't need to build your own models. It's been done by the industry already. Yeah, it's the natural language processing that's behind it. That is bound to help you. And we see an explosion of these chatbots being implemented. I think it's growing more than 30% per year in terms of dollar amounts. But it means almost any organization is,
Hmm.
how can I apply it? So that's a given one. It's proven technology, and if you apply it right, you can really do it much better. Where it becomes a bit more of a research is when you are trying to use your own data and trying to get insights like the recommendations we see on the internet, next best offers, and so on. Definitely a lot of successes in the industry, but sometimes also failure because it's not so easy to do a recommendation, which is if there's a lot of data in B2C environments, it's easier than B2B, where there is larger deals but less deals.
Yeah.
and it's less information available. It also is a matter of feasibility and effort. So how much effort is it in your organization to get to the data,
Yeah.
which is for a lot of organizations quite a challenge. And then if I have a working model, how easily can I scale it and deploy it to get really the business value? Those are questions to be answered, to be really precise in answering. Okay, does AI for this case is it a sensible
Right.
solution?
Yeah.
Is it a sensible solution? And it's a moving target as organizations are organizing themselves to be more AI friendly. So there's not so many corporates I know of that are not driving data quality programs, data access programs, data governance programs, training their building their competence centers, training people on how to use AI if they're marketeers or if they're in
Mhm.
finance and so on. If with the growing maturity of organizations, you will see it going to become there are going to be more cases where AI is beneficial and achievable for organizations. And at the same time, the technology is progressing, and a lot of providers, a lot of vendors are providing auto ML like AI. So you don't need to be a AI expert, PhD, and so on. But you can just be an ordinary software programmer that has, of course, some understanding of how to apply these models and still train and use these models because they've been pre-trained, and an API will help you and get you going. I think that's also shifting the, well, making it
Mhm.
much accessible for many more organizations to do so. So pretty optimistic. I think still advise be really think about where you can apply it and where it makes sense right now, and at the same time, this will grow for any organization in the coming years. So we
I
shift.
really like the bit you said that there's some level of due diligence that must be made, must be done before assess us as a way of assessing whether we're ready to do that. And it's definitely not for everything and definitely not for everybody.
Yep.
But there are use cases where this technology can really contribute, and it's just not another overhyped thing. So say we're a business where we can adopt this technology and there's no off-the-shelf solution. We should build something ourselves. How should how should we even approach this sort of project? Is it like the same way as every other, or some tweaks? How would you start something like that?
I think with AI, especially in this case, so there's no proven solution on the market already, and but there's a lot of data and insights in this data. For instance, predictive maintenance or forecasting your sales could really help in your logistical system and be more precise and cheaper and don't have an empty shelf kind of thing. So there's clear business benefits. So and it starts with merging those two. So it's really a creative process in this case because it hasn't been done before. Nobody really knows how good the AI will be, and nobody really knows what would the AI-driven customer service of an airline look like. For instance, just take an example. So it starts with an innovation phase which where it's really important to have the right subject matter experts from business in the room, and it could be a design sprint, like a week kind of thing,
Hmm.
to really define what needs to be done. To have AI experts in the room that understand, well, as good as possible, what is achievable, what's not, given the business target, business process, and the available data and the accessibility, and to have IT guys in the room to really help understand in this particular organization how easy would it be to get to the data, and then a creative process, which typically is a design thinking kind of
Hmm.
process, where you need to facilitate it to really drive.
Brainstorming, etc.
You have to merge those two worlds together. That's almost two worlds, like technology, AI. We can build this model, but what's the value in the business
Yeah.
process? Oh, if we tweak the business process a little bit, then the value gets much more tremendously
Mm.
high. How can we do this? Because it means 5,000 people need to work in a different way. So, okay, we already have 25 important programs running, so maybe not this year could be one of the conclusions. Or yes, we can do it. We start with, let's say, the first department, see how it really builds added value. It can be reasonably done, well, with a reasonable amount of effort given the potential business value. And then you got your case. So it's the creativity that how do we change our business and organize with AI technology, and how difficult is it to build the right model and deploy and scale it across the company and the business process that is at hand. So that is and what is it's always difficult to predict anything. So that's why the world now is in agile mode, and I think makes good sense. So start small, experiment, try a lot, and really get it right. And think a little bit, so we don't do something that everybody can say, "Oh, come on, this car is not going to fly." So try. We know that this is not possible right now. So a little bit of thinking up front, and then a lot of experimenting, quick feedback loops, and the multidisciplinary approach, as it's really combining technology and new ways that we.
I really like that bit about starting small and being agile. I believe that in today's world of tech, you just can't do it otherwise. But you've said there's IT, there's business, there's data on top of it, all over it. How would you align all these worlds that usually are siloed, are not understanding each other? How would you make it thrive?
Yeah, I think to me there's two kinds of answers to that. So there's the individual project where, let's say, the organizational situation is a given. So there's
Hmm.
working in silos. There's IT processes which might still be a bit on the traditional side. We have a lot of change management, steering committees,
Yeah.
releases every 4 months or something. You need to get into the release kind of stuff. So let's say enterprise continuity focus. And let's say that you have to operate and innovate in that kind of an environment, and where maybe the business environment is also quite top down, and innovation is not at the heart of the company, which is for many traditional corporates the case. So in that case, it's the team that needs to make it happen. So the agile team needs to have those disciplines, and it's bound to be a bit more difficult than in a, let's say, Silicon Valley born digital native startup where the data is easily available, where everybody works agile, and where there's like 10 releases a day on the website. So yes, the team will spend more effort to do the same thing in a traditional game, but it's definitely possible if you make sure that you have the right support. And this is quite classical: stakeholders from business, from IT, supporting the project,
Mhm.
having all of the competences in the team. So meaning a scrum master that really knows his way around or her way around in the company and knows how to work agile. If the company maybe is not fully used to working in an agile mode, can really help. It's more like an agile coach slash scrum master than just a scrum master.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll need the subject matter expert that really understands, so call it maybe the analytics translator,
Hmm.
popular term right now, but basically somebody that really understands business, and if it's a customer service project, knows how this processes work, knows the do's and don'ts and the absolutely don'ts, so can really feed the team and focus on value. Plus, has the connections with the business teams. Is let's try on this office the first epoch, because this is where we have the people that are open-minded and where we have some chance of success. So that's an important one. And then you get to the data scientist, AI expert that needs to build the model. So you need to
Hmm.
have expertise on board. That's not an easy one, because there's many more AI projects right now than AI experts around. So there's something that you need to spend effort to get the right person to, or team or persons to do it. Good news is it's getting easier because of the, let's say, AutoML offerings from the likes of Google and so on. But still, assuming that you have to build your own model. This is where you really need this person might find it outside or combine. I see a lot of projects where companies have hired data scientists, but they're a bit young or a bit immature,
Mhm.
and work with external companies to, okay, let's do the work and then train at the same time the data scientist of the organization to do it the next time by himself. So that's especially important in the first phase, to building the models, getting the right predictions. And the other part of the team is getting, and it's not an easy job, is getting the data in the right format.
Yeah.
So usually 60, 70% of the time of these teams, especially in the beginning, are spent on just figuring out what the data is, getting the business approval to use it, and then getting the actual physical access to this data done. And then there is work to get it in the right format so actually the models can learn from it. So in the first phase, when you try to just on a small scale try to prove that your idea is valid from visible from an AI and technology perspective, from a compliancy perspective as well. You don't want to do all sorts of bias things or uh,
Yeah.
violate privacy regulations. And from a business value perspective, this is the team that can do it. So if they got something working on a small scale, saying, okay, we've got the model, we've got a small set of data that is underlying and proving the model, and we've got the business interaction that says, yes, if we do it this way, it helps. We now perform better. We just have, and we can do the change that's needed. So that's the first, let's say, MVP team, and then
Mhm.
this is where a lot of companies go, and many companies achieve this. And then where everybody's talking right now is that this is nice, but it's not going to change my business results tremendously, because I now have it on one office, but I have 3,000 offices around the world. Or
That's step one. Yeah.
yeah, so now we need to scale, and that's where, let's say, some other skills need to be in this
Mm.
team. And
Completely different. Yeah.
yes, yeah, so there's less of modeling because the most of the modeling effort will have been done. And there is a way to say, okay, now we need to change the business. So it's a business change program. If anything, well, doesn't really matter. It's an AI change, but it's depending on how much the way of working is changed. It's easier or more complex. So that's just change management, training, communication, all that stuff on business side that needs to be done, and you need to have buy-in from people and understanding. So that's work, and the other work is getting it accepted and connected with IT systems. Now you move into this 4-month release calendar kind of thing, and you have to align with all the standards that any corporate has deployed to make sure the continuity of the company is guaranteed. And that is cloud. Maybe you did some cloud, maybe you didn't. So there's APIs or interfaces or whatever, and getting into the right roadmaps, having the IT skills to build the data pipeline and continuously feeds the model, and feeds back the results. So people actually working in Salesforce get the results, or just an example, or
Yeah.
but working in this enterprise systems get the results.
Whoa, that was really insightful. That was really insightful. Thank you for that explanation. So it's definitely a hard task, hard not to crack, but I think it's what makes successful organization. What sets successful organizations apart is that they just have the ability. They know how to create the right environment, whether it's an AI project, whether it's any other project. Either you have it or not.
Yeah.
So that's what distinguishes leaders from the followers, I guess.
I think so, and it depends. So sometimes you can really make it a small scope, so you don't have to be very AI friendly as a company and still have success. And what I mean, the other thing I see happen a lot is that let's say organizations that have been successful for many years and successful in the industrial age are really transforming themselves to be much more digital driven companies, which way faster agilities, and therefore changing and breaking the silos anyway a little
Hmm.
bit, changing their cultures. At the same time, opening up on the data, so organizing the data much more with AI kind of applications in mind, building up their competences. So really changing and their digital and AI driven capabilities. There's a lot of companies working hard. It's quite a change, I think, from a successful company in the industrial age to a successful company in the digital age.
Of course, yes.
So there's a lot of work, and it's going to be step by step for most organizations. But you can see the leaders really moving fast, getting the right talent on board, uh, getting to cloud native app development, which allows them to change much faster, getting an innovative culture in place. Probably the culture is the hardest thing
Yeah.
to crack. Moving decision authority from top management to lowering the organization to speed up is a big change in if you're on the stock market and have to perform every 3 months. You can't afford to
Plenty
mistakes.
of things that can be done. The cake is huge, but you have to eat the elephant bite after bite.
Absolutely,
Yeah, that's it.
absolutely, absolutely.
Whoa. So were we to shortly sum up this conversation, AI is there's way more behind beyond the hype when it comes to AI, and if you are in the right place and have the right skills and the right attitude and the mindset in place, then as a company you can definitely make the right use of it if you know how to do it.
Yes, yes, definitely. And I think on different levels, so you could apply it on specific areas, and you don't have to change all these things. And
Yeah.
maybe you want to do it one day, you know, already profit. Introducing a chatbot does not require you to change the way of working at IT or all the other parts of the organization. You can already profit. So there's a lot of point solutions that you can profit from if you want to make it. And I think in the end, companies will want to make it an integral part of the way how you do business, how you organize yourself. A bit like I was looking at Amazon and talking to them, and they use it as a standard part of any project,
Yeah.
anything they do. So it's fully integrated, and it allows them to be faster, smarter in a lot of
Mhm.
things, whether it's HR or whether it's logistics. So if you want to go there, then it's a big change for many companies. But you can already profit small, and then time also depends on your industry whether you have to change so fast. Or if you're in the media or travel industry, I think you don't have
Have
a
to
choice.
go.
Banks, you have to go fast. But if you're in, well, say, raw material selling, maybe you have a bit more time to make those changes.
Thank you, Robin. It was very informative. I really enjoyed that one.
Good
Thank you.
talk, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, our viewers and listeners, for being with us on this yet another episode of IT Leadership Insights. If you liked it and if you found it useful, please don't hesitate to share it and do drop us a line if you'd like to have a topic covered in one of the another episodes. Thank you. It was IT Leadership Insights by Future Processing with Robin. Thank you. Bye.